The interrogation chamber aboard the Valkyrie flagship was designed to break spirits. Cold metal walls, lined with neural disruptors, hummed with menacing energy, casting dancing shadows across the face of Commander Hazel Morrison as she sat bound to the examination chair. Her uniform was torn, blood dried at the corner of her mouth, but her eyes remained defiant. The Valkyrie Inquisitor circled her slowly, its 6 crystalline eyes studying the human with a mixture of curiosity and contempt. The insectoid creature's mandibles clicked in an odd past for speech among its kind. Translated by the neural implant forced into Hazel's temple, "Your fleet is destroyed. Your colony world burns. Yet you do not beg. You do not bargain." Curious, the Inquisitor leaned closer, its breath reeking of ammonia. "Tell me, human, why does your species persist in this futile resistance?" Hazel smiled, a thin, dangerous expression. "Because you made one critical mistake when you invaded human space." "Enlighten me," the creature hissed. "You showed us who you really are." 3 months earlier, the Valkyrie Empire had arrived at the edge of human territory with overwhelming force, a species that had conquered 47 star systems. They saw humanity as just another primitive civilization to be subjugated or eliminated. Their first diplomatic message was simple: submit or perish. Lieutenant Leo Chen had been present when that transmission came through on the bridge of the UES Defiance. He remembered watching Captain Hazel Morrison, newly promoted and barely 30 years old, as she listened to the Valkyrie's ultimatum. The alien transmission showed images of conquered worlds, of populations enslaved, of those who resisted being systematically exterminated. "They're giving us 72 hours, the communications officer had reported. Voice shaking. Leo had expected fear, panic, perhaps even consideration of surrender. Instead, Hazel had stood from her command chair and issued orders that would define the war to come. "Send a response," she had said calmly. "Tell them this: humanity declines, and tell them to prepare themselves." The Valkyrie had laughed at humanity's defiance. They had launched their invasion with the confidence of apex predators. They expected humanity to fight like the other species they had conquered, with desperation, with fear, with the animal instinct to survive. They were unprepared for what humanity actually brought to war. The first Valkyrie battle group learned this when they engaged the human fleet at Proxima Station. They expected conventional tactics, ship-to-ship combat following predictable patterns. Instead, human vessels fought with a controlled fury that baffled Valkyrie strategic computers. Ships that were crippled didn't retreat, they accelerated toward enemy formations and detonated their reactors. Damaged vessels covered the retreat of functional ones, sacrificing themselves without hesitation. But it wasn't the willingness to die that unsettled the Valkyrie. Many species fought desperately when cornered. It was what happened afterward. When the human fleet captured a damaged Valkyrie destroyer, Leo had been assigned to the boarding party. He expected to find the alien crew preparing to self-destruct, as was standard Valkyrie protocol. Instead, they found the aliens huddled in their medical bay, wounded and terrified. "Sir, they're surrendering," one of the Marines reported. Confused. Leo had contacted Hazel, now coordinating the battle from the Defiance. "Captain, the enemy crew is attempting to surrender." "Orders." There had been a long pause. The Valkyrie had shown no mercy to human civilians on the worlds they'd attacked. Images of atrocities were still fresh in everyone's minds. The easy choice, the expected choice, would have been vengeance. "Take them prisoner," Hazel had ordered. "Treat their wounded. Follow the Geneva Conventions." "Mum, the Geneva Conventions were written for humans." "I'm aware, Lieutenant. We extend them to all sentient beings." "That's an order." That decision rippled through the Valkyrie Empire like a shockwave. Species didn't show mercy in Valkyrie space. The strong dominated, the weak perished. It was the natural order they had enforced across half a sector. But humanity was different. As the war progressed, the Valkyrie found their worldview crumbling. Human forces rescued Valkyrie escape pods. Human medics treated wounded enemy soldiers. Human supply ships delivered food to Valkyrie civilian populations cut off by the fighting. Even as the war raged, it was incomprehensible. It was illogical. It was terrifying. because with each act of mercy, each demonstration of humanity's moral codes, the 47 conquered species within the Valkyrie Empire began to ask a dangerous question: what if there was another way? Now, in the interrogation chamber, the Inquisitor's mandibles trembled with barely contained rage as it processed Hazel's words. You think your weakness is strength. Your mercy is meaningless sentiment. No, Hazel interrupted, her voice steady despite her injuries. Our mercy is a weapon you can't defend against. Every prisoner we treat well goes back to your empire and tells the truth. Every civilian we save spreads the word. You built your empire on fear and domination, but we've shown your subjects that rulers can be different, can be better. The Inquisitor struck her across the face, drawing fresh blood. It changes nothing. You will still lose. Your fleet is... The ship suddenly shuddered. Alarms began blaring throughout the flagship. The Inquisitor's communicator erupted with panic transmissions in the Valkyrie language. Hazel smiled through blooded teeth. That would be Lieutenant Leo Chen and the Third Fleet, right on schedule. But it wasn't just the human fleet that had arrived. Across Valkyrie space, rebellions had erupted simultaneously. 47 conquered worlds, inspired by humanity's example, rose up against their oppressors. Species that had been enslaved for generations found courage in a simple truth: if humans could show mercy to their enemies, then perhaps freedom was possible after all. The Valkyrie Empire didn't fall to superior firepower or advanced technology. It fell because humanity had introduced a concept that was foreign, infectious, and ultimately unstoppable. Hope. As Leo's Marines breached the flagship's hull and fought their way to the interrogation chamber, Hazel watched the Inquisitor's crystalline eyes register understanding and terror in equal measure. We are not like you, she said quietly, and that's exactly what doomed your empire. Not our weapons, not our ships, our humanity. The door exploded inward. Leo stood in the breach, weapon raised, a team of Marines behind him. He moved to Hazel's side, quickly releasing her restraints. Status, Captain, he asked, helping her stand. Mission accomplished, Lieutenant, she replied, wincing but standing tall. I think we've made our point. Around them, the Valkyrie flagship descended into chaos. But across the galaxy, something new was beginning. Not an empire built on conquest, but an alliance built on the radical notion that mercy, compassion, and basic decency were not weaknesses to be exploited. They were the foundations of true civilization. And humanity, blooded but unbroken, would show them how it was done. The end.